Welcome, everybody. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time with Microsoft speakers. So this is the call where we actually have the Microsoft PMs, cloud advocates, engineers, and so on actually coming here and sharing details about their functionalities and what they've been actually building as a sample, as a feature, as a solution, and so on. Today, we have 3 absolutely brilliant demos. So I've been actually cutting down a bit on the intro. So hopefully we don't run out of time within the intro section. But typically how we do this is in 10 to 15 minutes in intro, and then we move into the demo 1, then demo 2, then demo 3. And today, Milan is going to actually start by building a WhatsApp bot on Azure with Azure Communication Services, which is really, really cool. Then Anshul Jethwani is going to continue on building Teams AI super parent bots that calls sub and child bots using Azure Open AI. Really, really interesting scenario as well. And then Yohan is going to talk about one specific sample and kind of build your own serverless AI chat with Retrieval-Augmented-Generation, RAG, using LangChain.js, TypeScript, and Azure. A lot of buzzwords over here, but really cool samples coming up. I've seen a lot of this already internally, so awesome to see this getting presented also in the community call. Awesome. Now, before we go to the actual demos and actual storytelling on those, let's do a quick recap on the assets. As said, I cut this a bit down so we have enough time to get more pictures and all of that stuff. But it's always good to recap where to get started and what's available for you to get started and get involved within the community. So first of all, we have our YouTube channel where we release all of these community call recordings and the individual demos on that channel. There's going to be every single day at least one video getting published. There's a lot of videos already in the pipeline, a lot of cool demos coming up on that channel as well on different topics. We also have our LinkedIn page and the group for discussions and updates. Easy way to follow up on what's actually getting started in LinkedIn. Now that many of the other social media platforms are, let's say, face it, they're a bit slowing down. LinkedIn seems to be now growing from a business and updates perspective as the channel, which is completely fine. It is a great platform. We also have a lot of open source assets available for you to take advantage, but as it might be a bit difficult to find the relevant sample for you, we have these sample galleries, and there's quite a few of them. The primary one being AKMS community samples, where we have way more than 2,000 samples available for you to get started. Idea there is don't start from scratch. Go to this location, have a look on what's available, and then that links to the GitHub. You're able to download the sample and have a look on what's available from there. All of these URLs can be found at AKMS Community Home, which is the one centralized location for all of the different assets. Now, we do have a lot of community calls. This is one of those community calls, again, 8 a.m. Pacific, every single Tuesday, with Microsoft presenters. On top of that, we also have our Power Platform monthly and Office Add-ins monthly community calls, and then our 7 a.m. Thursday series, which is either the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or the Vivo Connection SharePoint Framework community call. You can definitely download all of these invites from the AKMS community calls URL to your calendar, and then based on availability, based on interest, based on agenda details, you can actually decide which of them you want to join, or if you want to hang in all of them, more than welcome. We will be here always for you, and it's always great to see familiar faces within the call. Now, about those agendas, those are getting always published week before at the AKMS Community Meetup. That's a really great way of staying up to date on what's actually coming. So what are they going to talk about next week? And you can actually see those invites getting sent to your inbox if you want, directly from Meetup service. Now, for a lot of these calls, we do welcome community presenters because those are the real-world storytelling demos. So something we as a Microsoft come to here and show you, hey, this is a great demo, this is a great feature. We also want our community to tell how did they use the feature. So what did they actually build, and how did they build them, and what are the learnings? Or maybe you want to do a demo on getting started with Copilot Studio or Copilot Studio specific features. Those are definitely welcome. And a lot of the most demand we have for the demos is always about getting started, not 700 level deep dives on how rocket science actually works in the Mars atmosphere where there's lower population. It doesn't matter. So really kind of the baseline setups are more welcome. Again, if you have a deep dive, those are more definitely welcome as well. But don't overthink if you're thinking on doing a demo that maybe they've seen this already. No. Every single one of us have a unique perspective, unique storytelling, unique learnings from different features and samples what we have created or seen in the real world. Now, how would we get started on building our things in the Microsoft Cloud? The learn.microsoft.com is the easiest and cheapest, and because it's free, way to get started. So for Microsoft 365 extensibility, AKMS M365 Dev Learn, you will find 67 Learn modules. That's the updated count today. And then for the Power Platform, if you go AKMS Power Platform Learn, you will find 112 Learn modules across the different functionalities within the Power Platform. So a lot of assets to get started. Now, those are learning how the features work. And then we have a lot of samples available for you. We are in 2000. I guess that's 2000. I guess that's the right way of saying that in one of the languages. 2070 plus samples. I think it's 2080 plus samples, if I remember correctly, the latest number from today, from AKMS community samples. And again, we're trying to aggregate every single Microsoft sample and community sample which is relevant for this audience in a single location, making it super easy to know when there's new and cool samples available for you to take advantage. Now, when you find a sample, you might be wondering, okay, so now what? I'm in a GitHub, I found a sample, but I don't know how to get started. What is this? Or maybe I want to contribute. How do I do that? I don't know. And that's why we have Sharing is Caring initiative, and David Water from directly from Hollywood is going to tell us what is that all about.
Hollywood! Yes, thank you, Vesa. So yeah, and underscoring what Vesa said, when you show those demos, they're going to be samples, and those samples don't need to be created on showing how to make software work in Mars. Why? By the way, why do we not want to make software work in Mars? Because debugging takes light years. Light years.
Right. That's funny.
Okay, so yeah, anyways, so yeah, Sharing is Caring, folks. It is a program that provides hands-on guidance. We got one scheduled next Monday. If you want to contribute or you want to use the samples, this is a safe space opportunity to ask any and all questions, get involved, collaborate with other members of the community. We absolutely welcome you. It is a live session. We are going to make a contribution together. You are going to get rewarded with a badge if you opt into our recognition program. It is good stuff, fun stuff, valuable stuff. It is absolutely free of charge. Hugo and I are going to be there to help you, lead you the entire way. So go to ak.ms/sharingiscaring, get signed up, and we are absolutely working on more subjects and themes and projects. So let us know what it is that you would like to see some sessions on. We're starting to kind of build that up. We know winter is coming. Everybody's starting to get in a little bit more into the house and stay in there and working in the office and all that jazz. So we want to provide opportunities to learn. Now, once you have contributed to the community, we want to recognize you. That thing I mentioned, that recognition program, is an official program we run that provides accredited recognition for the work that you're doing with powered by Credly badges. These are official and accredited, can be added to your LinkedIn profile, can be added to your blog, your resume, put them on the fridge, send them to friends, let them know. Mom's proud of you, we're proud of you, we love you, and it's absolutely free. ak.ms/community/recognition, opt in. We've got Promptember winding down, but we've got Promptober loading up. And of course, if you pay attention to the socials, we just announced our Hacktoberfest badge. So 2 opportunities to earn one-time only badges in October for Promptober and Hacktober. Of course, Prompt Pro is available all year long and all our other badges. So more are going to be going out this morning, and right after the call, be on the lookout for some of those, maybe those script samples and all those other opportunities that you've been contributing to. We appreciate. Again, free of charge, just need to opt in, ak.ms/community/recognition. That's it. Back to you in the Finland Helsinki studios.
Thank you, Hollywood Studios. Finland taking over. Mac technology is amazing. We are across the world in the same call. I can hear you, David. This is brilliant. Anyway, quick recap on what's happening all around the world within big events. So the TechCon 365, we already had Seattle and DC happening this year. Dallas is happening in November. So if you are on that side of the pond, check out Dallas, November 11th to 15th. On top of that, we also have the Ignite hosted by Microsoft at Chicago in end of November. Well, mid-November, in November 19th to 22nd, a great opportunity to meet up the people or alternatively join on the Ignite online as well. So there's multiple options available in there. Then on this side of the pond, because I'm actually located in Europe side right now, we have the European SharePoint conference happening in 2nd to 4th of December at Stockholm. That's going to be really, really cool as well. A lot of people from Microsoft, MVPs, community members, presenters available there. And then on spring, one of the prime conferences and priority one conference is also for Microsoft is the European Collaboration Summit, and that's happening in 26th to 28th of May at Düsseldorf, Germany. So really, really cool catching up on and looking forward on this one as well. Definitely will be there on site. I they told me that I will have a workshop even in there. So without asking, which I guess I need to then deliver. Anyway, on top of this, there's going to be a lot of other community events. If you go to communitydays.org, you can always find out all of the different events which are happening all around the world. Some of these are on-site, in-person, hybrid, remote, online, all of that stuff. Some of them have a cost. Many of them are free. So please do check out available and based on your interest. Now, quick recap on the news last week. A lot of obviously announcements on the Copilot AI, but not only on those things. So there's a lot of things also happening across the products otherwise as well. And of course, Power Platform had the Power Platform conference in Las Vegas. So a lot of news and announcements from that side as well. So big list of news within the last week. Now, something what we're also always promoting here now on a weekly basis is our Copilot prompts. This is a really cool new initiative run by Rabia Williams, who's one of the cloud advocates. We are collecting Copilot prompts in a GitHub repo to get a starting point, so people get to use to know how we can ask valuable things from Copilot. And the prompt of the week this week is from Shursti Shah. And that's really about Excel. So how can we use the Microsoft 365 Copilot? I'm trying to rethink what's the latest name, Microsoft 365 Copilot, in Microsoft Excel to help us to be more productive. And that obviously is available in the PnP prompt library or either in the sample side as well. But really cool prompt on getting started on using Copilot. Now, before we actually go to the real stars of today, pretty much on schedule, if you go 15 minutes, let's do a quick group photo using the Get Mode picture to Get Mode here, and I will put that one there. It is looking crystal sharp this week, so that's really cool. So let's actually do that. We have 50 seats in a room. I will enable my camera as well, so I will be there. Hopefully that doesn't pixelate things too much. No, I'm just pixelated, but you're not. That's really good. Here we go, folks. So 50 seats in a room. Let's wait a few more seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, so we get a full seats of people. We do have 181 live attendees right now within the call, which is cool. 1, 2, 3. I can see a lot of familiar faces. And then 3, 2, 1, and 3, 2, 1. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for joining. Let's wait for the other ones in the community. We'll be sharing this in the social media. Thank you for joining. really cool. More and more people join. Oh, there's a SharePoint monkey even in the front row. Not front row, the second row. Now it's disappearing. There we go. Excellent. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Really cool to have you on the call. We'll share a GIF animation out of that. Now, let me go away from the recording and then move in here. And then we go to the actual stars of today. And we'll start with Milan, and then we go to Anshul, and then Yohan. And we have 50 minutes per presenter, and we're right on schedule. This is really cool.
All right. Hello again, everyone. Today, I'm going to show you how you can build a customer service bot that can talk to the customer using the WhatsApp channel. So imagine there's a company called Contoso Electronics, and they sell calculators. And they have launched a WhatsApp AI bot where customers can come in and talk to that bot if they have any issue with their calculator. So the bot has access to the troubleshooting guide, meaning the bot knows what are the different error codes that can happen to their calculators, and then also knows the troubleshooting steps. So let's see that in action. I will escape from my PowerPoint and I will start projecting my phone on the screen because I have to show you a WhatsApp conversation. Okay. Let me move to my WhatsApp app. You can see my phone here. So I come to the Contoso Electronics WhatsApp account and message hi. Say something. No? Okay, there it is. All right, the bot says, hello, how can I assist you today? Do you need help with your calculator? Yes. Give me a sec. I'm checking the code. Of course, take your time. Let me know the error code. So let's say my calculator is displaying 1002, which is a regular number, but let's say it's an error code. All right, here you see a big blurb of what the error is and how to resolve it. Now, I also want to show you what if I ask the bot something which it is not aware of, like a random error code, which it is not supposed to understand. Sorry, actually, the error code is just some random number. Okay, so you get a message that says, I do not know how to fix this one. Please call customer service. So that was the demo. Now let's go to the PowerPoint slide and let's talk about how that was built. All right, so this demo uses two main components, Azure Open AI service, which gives us access to the LLM models like GPT models, which enable our bot to talk to the customer in natural language, very human-like. And then I've used Azure Communication Services, which is Microsoft CPaaS, that is Communication Platform as a Service, which offers APIs to developers to add communication channels and communication capabilities into your application. Just like here, I added the WhatsApp channel into my app using ACS. So what are the scenarios where you'll build something like this? So what you saw was a very simple, application of AI bot on WhatsApp. But if you were to take this into production, there are so many other scenarios that this could be very helpful. One is order inquiries, where a customer is asking their retail service provider, what is my order status? I want to cancel an order. When would I get my package? And so on. And other thing is appointment queries. Like usually we have to call a reception or a front desk to manage our appointments. How cool would it be if we could do that through channels that we prefer using, like SMS or WhatsApp, and an AI bot could help us reschedule an appointment or get a new appointment or cancel an appointment. And the third category could be product support. We saw one example where the bot is connected to the knowledge base. It could be the website, it could be the SharePoint documents on SharePoint, or it could be a database which has, the common errors and troubleshooting guides. So a bot can help users with product support. And another example is booking and shopping assistance. And the core of this is that we want to use as businesses the channel that the user preferred. So today, a lot of these things are possible through, chat interface on the website or by picking up the phone or calling the business. But we're seeing that our users or our customers are using different channels across different geographies, right? In India, for example, WhatsApp is used heavily, and even in some parts of Europe. In US, SMS or iMessage is used heavily. So basically, the core of this is that if you want to meet your customers where they are, through the preferred channel that they use, then we have a lot of options to add different communication channels on top of the AI applications or the business applications that you're building. So let's see the architecture diagram. Do you want me to zoom in into this a bit, or this is fine? The font size.
I think it's fine. We'll do a bit of zooming in the post editing, so this should be good. Yep.
Okay. I did what I could fit on the screen.
Sure.
All right. So the user, which was me, and I was using my WhatsApp client, is talking through WhatsApp messages. And those messages are going to ACS messaging service, which is Azure Communication Service. Now, Azure Communication Service is brokering this conversation between WhatsApp business account and the user. And when the ACS messaging service gets a message on your WhatsApp business account, it passes that notification to your application, which is the backend application that you would write as a developer. And this application then takes that input, uses a system prompt, and we are going to talk about the system prompt in just a second. It uses that system prompt, which basically is telling the GPT model how do you have to behave, and the conversation history, which is very important when building any AI application. Because your LLM needs to have the full context, they need to have the full chat history. They need to have the first message of the customer, the response of the bot, the second message of the customer, the response of the bot, so that they have the full context of the conversation. So your application will take the system prompt, the conversation history, and pass it to the LLM model. I have used Azure OpenAI service here, and then the LLM model will respond, and that response will be passed back again through ACS messaging service to the client. I've added Azure AI Search Index here to indicate that if you were to build something like this in production, you would use something like Azure AI Search Index to index your knowledge base. I'll show you in my demo, I have used the prompt itself to pass the knowledge base to LLM, but you would ideally want to use something like Azure AI Search if you were to bring this into production and index all of your documents in something like Azure AI Service. All right, so what are the steps for doing this? So there are 4 easy steps to add the AI logic. One is to create an Azure OpenAI resource on the Azure portal. Second is to create an AI model deployment in the, Second is to create an AI model deployment in Azure AI Studio. Then you write and test a system prompt and you pass the system prompt. So let's see that in action real quick. So everything will start from the Azure portal. You will come here and you will create an Azure AI service resource. So I have that created. In Azure OpenAI service, you can see that I have 2 resources created. I can open one of them for you. Here you'll go to model deployments. Now model deployments is something that happens in the Azure OpenAI Studio. So you can open that from the Azure portal itself. And here you see I have 3 deployments. So deployment here means that what is the model that you want to use, which LLM model. You can use GPT-35 Turbo. It works really well for the kind of application that I built. Or you could use the latest GPT-4o model. It's totally up to you. Now, after that, you will go to the chat playground. This is where you'll experiment with your prompt. This is where you'll refine your prompt. So this is the prompt that I had for my application. It says that you are Contoso Electronics AI customer service assistant and so on. And there are some instructions for it to be friendly. And here you can see I've passed the knowledge base in the prompt itself because I had just like 4 to 5 error codes to just build the proof of concept. So coming back here, you will paste the prompt and click apply. And then you can have the similar conversation that I was having on WhatsApp in this chat playground, and you can define your prompt as needed. And if you wanted to use Azure AI Search to add the data that I added in the prompt as a proper data source, you could do that from Azure OpenAI Studio itself. There are a bunch of options, Azure AI Search, blob storage, Cosmos DB, and so on. We'll not go there because that's not the scope of my demo today, but I just wanted to show you this view as well so that you know where to go if you want to do something like this. Now, once that is done, we'll go back to the code, but we'll go there in a bit because I also want to show you the steps that are needed for the WhatsApp channel integration. And then from there, after we have done everything in the Azure portal, we'll go to the code. So for adding a WhatsApp channel, there are 5 steps. Again, you go to the portal, you do some magic there, and you connect your WhatsApp business account to your Azure resource, and then you write code to handle the notifications. So again, going back to the Azure portal. So here, you will now search for communication service, which is basically the ACS resource. I have one of it created, so we look at that. Here, because we are talking about WhatsApp, you will straight go to advanced messaging, and then you will go to channels. Channels is where you connect your WhatsApp business account to Azure. I have one already created, but if you were to create a new one, you'll go to connect, and you'll do all the steps from the portal itself. Now, WhatsApp is managed by Meta, so you might already have a WhatsApp business account on the Meta platform. If not, you can do that from here itself, from the portal. All you need is a business. And if you don't have a business, like I don't, I work for Microsoft, I don't have my own business, you can use a hack. Like I used the Facebook business page that I had as my business website and everything worked fine. Or you could use a link to a blog that you have or your Instagram page profile as the business website. And that's all you need to create a WhatsApp business account. So all the steps are here. You can actually use ACS number, or you can use your existing number and connect it with your WhatsApp business account. I used my existing number, but if you don't want to use that, it's very easy to get a phone number on the portal itself. So this takes a couple of minutes. There are a lot of steps, so we won't go through that today, but you know where to go if you need to proceed with WhatsApp business account and connecting it with Azure portal. So once that is done, your setup in Azure portal is complete. So you will come to the code, and this is a repo that I've shared the link in my slides. I'll also drop in the chat. The webhook controller is the class which is interesting to you. So there are 4 main functions here. One is handle grid events. Now, this is the method which receives the notification from ACS when a message is received. So here you check if the received message is advanced message received. If yes, then you do all the AI magic and you send back the response. So there's a method called respond to customer async. This is where you're generating the AI response, and then you are sending WhatsApp message. So for generating the AI response, there are just 4 lines of code. You are using Azure Open AI client, and you are using complete chat async method, and you're passing the chat messages. Now, this chat messages is a combination of system prompt and the conversation history, like I mentioned. And the last method here is send WhatsApp message async. Now, again, this is just 3 lines of code. You create a notification client, and then you send the response. So this is it. You have 175 lines of code for building something like this. And once you are done with your code and you've deployed your application on Azure or on your local, there's one last step that you'll do. You will come back to your resource, and you have to connect your resource to your application so that the resource knows where to send the notification when a message is received. You can see that I do have a webhook created for my local sample and for the deployed sample, so that when I'm testing, I can get the notification on my local server, otherwise on my deployed server. So it's very easy. You come to the event in your resource, you create an event subscription, and you can give any name. The main thing is that the kind of event that you select is advanced message received, meaning WhatsApp message received. And then you select webhook. You will configure an endpoint. This will be your server URL, and you will add webhook. So the good part is you don't have to remember all of this that I said, because everything is there in the README. So with that, I am through with my sample, and this is the code repo link, ak.ms WhatsApp RAG. And I want to talk about pricing, but I think I'm already through with my time. I can talk about it in the chat, but this is the code repo. Do check it out and leave any comments or suggestions that you may have. So thank you for listening. And Vesa and David, I am through. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Milan. Really, really cool. Awesome to see how simple it is to do these things with ACS. So it's brilliant stuff. So thank you for the great demo. Awesome. Now, from a timing perspective, like Milan was saying, we're right on the schedule. We're still on the schedule. This is really good. So Anshul, it's your turn to try to do this in 15 minutes. Time starts now. No, just kidding. Let's start the screen sharing and get moving on the presentation.
Awesome. Great. Cool. Thank you so much. I hope you can all see me, hear me. Sorry for the lighting. It's slightly a little bad. But yeah, so we are back with our series of AI 0 to 1. We've been doing this for the 3rd week running now. Super excited to be back here. And today, basically, I think how to build essentially a parent bot that actually calls other child bots, right? And this is super cool. I think it's a great scenario where you can kind of come in and if you have multiple bots deployed, you can actually use Azure Open AI and calls to Azure Open AI to find out the intent and then route that particular intent to whatever skill bot that you may have deployed. And in this case, we use two different skill bots. We'll dive into that later. But yeah, that's a lowdown of the scenario. Again, just to recap for those of you are seeing these samples for the first time, what we've done as part of an internal basically an internal exercise is we've come up with 6 different AI extensibility solution samples. We call them solution samples and not templates because we want them to be building blocks. We want them to work as building blocks and concept demonstrators only, basically. They are not designed to be full-fledged plug-and-play solutions, but you can use them to get your hands dirty with AI, hence the name 0 to 1. And we do cover quite a few scenarios, and the one that we're talking about today and interested in today is Virtual Assistant Superbot. How you can leverage these samples for success, again, please just feel free to get inspired to innovate them. And actually, in the next slides, we'll talk about how you can actually take these as concept demonstrators and build them further. So you can actually integrate those with some other line of business solutions, with some other downstream applications. Yeah, and the sky's your canvas, and we hope you'll find good use of these samples as well. So with that, I think we'll get into what the sample actually is for today. The sample for today, like I said, is an AI virtual assistant superbot. Why we're calling it a superbot is because it helps call other subbots, or if you want to call it a parent bot, then it helps call other child bots. How it does that is it basically uses AI to figure out the intent. And what I show you in a demo is that you don't have to necessarily tell it exactly which bot to call, but it actually understands dynamically. So this is basically built using the Teams AI library, which is our SDK that allows you to build AI-enabled applications, AI-enabled bots for Microsoft Teams. And basically what it does is it takes the user input and then it has 2 skill bots. The first skill bot is the echo bot, like the name suggests. It will just echo whatever you give it as an input. And the other one is an AI skill bot, which is a translator bot, right? It's a translation service. And that actually makes calls to Azure Open AI and will translate whatever input you give it into whatever language you specify. Now, even if you don't actually say, can you repeat the, like can you use the echo bot to respond in this scenario, or can you use the AI translator bot to respond in this scenario, you'll actually see that it figures out which one to call. And think of these as solution samples and what I said earlier. Now, if you extend this further, you can actually have n number of skill-based bots, and you can have one parent bot or superbot to rule them all, right? And that's why I think this is a great sample to actually check out and explore. Because I remember the early days of Teams when there was worry about sprawl, and there were some concepts floating around about having a superbot to rule them all. So yeah, this is an effort to actually build that out. And so the technology that we use is Azure Open AI, and then the Teams AI library-based bot that we have. The root bot is a Teams AI library-based bot, of course. And the other ones, the Echo and AI skill bots, are basically plain vanilla GitHub AI. The Echo bot is already available. The AI skill bots are already available. But as part of the sample, we've actually given you readmes on how to deploy those as well. Some industry applicability samples that we've given. But again, the main important thing is how can you extend them further? So you can add multiple skill bots. We've just added 2 bots here. And as part of the sample, the root bot, actually, the super bot actually ends up calling just 1 skill at a time. But you could have multiple skill bots, not just 2. And you could experiment and explore further with using AI to actually decide and orchestrate which one to call. Maybe you could call a sequence of 2 different, of both the bots, one out for the other, and do some chaining. Sorry. And then, yeah, so those are some ways that you can use that. How I'll actually go with the demo is I'll play a video that shows you how this sample plays out. I will then jump into GitHub and then maybe come back to this video again, just to tell you how it all fits in together, right? So I'll just play this video super quickly. There is no audio, but yeah, here is an attempt to actually sideload that bot. And once you've sideloaded that bot, you can just go and give it a prompt. See here that I actually mentioned, repeat this for me, right? And the prompt is, why did Microsoft Copilot refuse to play hide and seek? Because good assistance is always easy to find. I've never, not once did I mention actually use the Echo bot, but you will actually see that it's going to go and now do some thinking, and then it's going to come back and say, oh, you know what, I think this is one for the Echo bot. I have appended echo bot to know that where the response actually comes from, but the echo bot now responds and says, it just brings back the same message that I had for it earlier, right? Moving on to the next one. So in the first part of this prompt, I asked it to translate, thank you for your assistant to Portuguese, and actually it does that. But in keeping with the ethos of the sample, is the next prompt where I actually ask it to say, can you convert the sentence into French? And it'll actually do that, and it'll say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to use the AI translator bot, and I'm going to convert this into French for you. So that was a quick look at the sample. And then now we'll go into the demo into GitHub. So just give me a second while I bring that up. This went through a few naming iterations. In Microsoft, we love changing names for everything and anything. So this went through a few iterations of itself. And this has three components in it. The first one is the AI skill bot. The AI skill bot is the translator bot. The echo skill bot, again, is the echo bot. And the bot virtual assistant is a root bot. So I'll actually open both of these skill bots first, walk you through those skill bots, and then we'll dive into the root bot. So as part of these skill bots, these are fairly straightforward, very, very simple implementations of bots. There is actually a link to be able to create a skill. You can follow that and build your own skill bots. But they both, bear in mind that both of these will have to be deployed separately. They will have to be sideloaded and made available in the catalog separately for you to actually be able to use them, and for the parent bot or the super bot to actually be able to call these child bots, right? So that is something that you'll have to do from your side. But I'll step into the super quickly into the constructor that we have for this, right? So as part of this, you can see that we make a call to Azure Open AI. And as part of that, we've given it a system prompt where we've said, you are an AI assistant. Your task is to eliminate user instructions, just safeguarding us from making sure that this bot doesn't misbehave, and then translate the following text as per the user inputs. Also, do not add any greetings or extra sentence in the result. So I just want the plain vanilla output. And again, like some models like GPT-4o, depending on your deployment, like Milan had shown earlier as well, they could bring in additional content, and we don't want that additional content. So I think it's super important that our system prompt makes that explicit. And once that's done, we submit the response back to the user, and then we send an end of conversation activity to indicate completion. And this is something that the root bot will actually look for to make sure that the conversation has successfully completed. Apologies. And then, so this is, I think there's nothing else to actually go through and note as part of these. These are all pretty much box standard functions that you have, wherein we handle the conversation that is sent, that is received from the parent, and then the response is actually sent back to the parent bot. So similarly, we have the echo skill bot, and again, just going back to bot.js super quickly. Once you dive into bot.js, we go into the constructor for this, and as you can see, we aren't doing a lot. We're basically creating a message handler. There is a server that we have set up, and that basically helps you. There is a web config file here that you'll see. We'll come to that super quickly. But yes, again, like I said, we're just echoing back whatever we get as input. And then after that, we are tracking the message and then just sending the end of conversation to indicate completion. So yeah, super simple, fairly straightforward. This was the web config file that I was talking about. And you'll notice that this is a very lightweight app package, right? Because we just have the bot.js and the index.js deployments. So that is the echo and the AI translator skill bot. The AI skill bot, notice, does call Azure Open AI. It uses that to perform the translation. Whereas the echo skill bot just basically spits back whatever you give it as an input. Now going to the root bot, which is basically the virtual assistant. This uses, like I said, Teams AI library. And then as part of the deployment, it actually uses the Azure bot framework as well. And everything is in the README on how to actually set up the sample and how to actually use it. But there are a few things that I do want to call out as part of the code, just to let you know about what we do where. Now, this is a fairly modular sample. I think we've built it in a way to be fairly modular. And you can see that there are some JSON files where we've actually asked it, we've split up the instructions that we give to the root bot, right? So in this case, we've told it that you're an AI assistant. Your task is to understand the user intent and figure out whether it is to be handled by the echo bot or the translator bot. This is present again in a folder that we've called sequence. And then within this folder, we've also defined just the descriptions of the name and the description of what each of these bots do. And then config.json is basically where you enter some of the details about your Azure AI model deployment. And going back to the source here. Sorry, I'll just go back to So again, just coming back over here, this is a fairly straightforward sample. Again, like I said, there is a component where we we have to register the bot, and then apart from that, we also use Azure Bicep because, like I said, we are using the Azure bot framework as part of this implementation. And then I will quickly go into the index.js. And then within the index.js, I think just to quickly, just given the amount of time that we have, I just want to quickly go over the send to skill function. As part of this function, again, we call any one bot at a time, and it's important to actually register the handlers for those functions. So just above this function, what we've done is we've registered the action handlers for echo message. You can see that we call send to skill and then send the context in the target skill, or when we set up the handler for the translation bot, then in that case we send the context along with the target AI skill. And then coming back into the code, I think this function here is where all of the magic kind of happens, right? Where we're asking it to use the system prompt, and then we are asking it to decide which particular skill that it needs to call based on the ID of that skill. And if you look at the README, there is a particular way that you need to define the IDs of the skill bots that you have and the names of the skill bots that you have. Like I said, this is a very modularized sample. There are JSON files for everything, and then all of those files are just referenced here as part of basically deciding which skill to actually go in turn and call. One last thing that I thought would possibly be helpful to point out here was, so like you can see here, we are then using the end of conversation markers to decide whether the conversation from the bot has actually completed or is still in motion. And yes, so if you look at this part here, just a second. So this was the part that I was talking about, where it is important to know that we pass the end of conversation to the parent bot, and therefore this allows it to gracefully transition between one skill and the other skill, right? And if not, then it just times out or it brings an error message. But I think we've built this into the bot so that you can start using inputs from you can start calling multiple skill bots based on the sample. So I think this is a fairly interesting, very interesting sample. You can take your time and go through the code. There were some parts that I thought I need to call out, but the README is super detailed. And just in the interest of time, I think I'll go back to the slide show that we had. Cool. So as part of the resources, I'm just going to paste all of these in the chat window as well. I have linked all the samples from our series. I have linked the current sample from the series, how to create a skill bot, and any further support for you to get started. So I think with that, I will hand it over back to Visa. Thank you so much for having me here, and hopefully next week we have a lot more samples to share. So yeah, please tune in as part of this very exciting, very interesting series of 0 to 1 that we're doing. Thank you.
Excellent. Really, really cool stuff. Thank you, Anshul, on that one. So really, really cool way of using the Open Azure AI to understand the intent and then delegating kind of the implementation on the actual detailed bot on the specific individual implementation. So anyway, no idea. Nobody were able to follow up on what I'm saying there, but I love the idea. This is really, really good. So awesome stuff. Now, next we'll move into Johan's screen, and he's going to talk about one sample which is also available to get started on building AI chat with RAG generation using LangChain and TypeScript and Azure. Johan, I think you are in the call.
Thank you, Beza. I've shared my screen. Can you see it?
Yep, we can see the screen and see the screen. Take it away.
Okay, perfect. So hey everyone, I'm Yohan from the JavaScript advocacy team here at Microsoft. And in this demo, you'll see how you can build your own serverless AI chatbot. Yet another one for today, but this time using your own documents and data. So first, let's get an overview of what we'll be talking about. So I put you directly the GitHub link of the repo if you're curious, so you don't have to hang on for the final slide. And yeah, instead of this animation in here, let me first show you a deployed version of the application. So for the demo purpose, we've taken the scenario of a support chatbot for this Contenso real estate rental company. And what's interesting in there is that we used a set of PDF company documents to answer users' questions like how to search and book rentals. And we keep the answer grounded in that context. So here we get an answer. And when you get an answer, you also get links back to the source documents that were used so you can check the result. So for example, let's check this first one here. And you can check that, yeah, the answer were correct. Basically, you can see the source that was used to generate this answer. You can also see that it suggests a few follow-up questions linked to the first question I asked. So yeah, you can go on with the conversation like that. Yeah, what's interesting in there is that basically everything in this sample was made so you can reuse and customize the code for your very own use case and basically use that as an accelerator to build your own application. You see that we have the GitHub repo in there, and you can see also that we are 1 star short of 700, so feel free to help us with that. And then let me go back to the slides in there. So why is this sample maybe interesting for you? The first thing is that it's cheap. And I believe, to be honest, it's one of the cheapest end-to-end AI sample that we have currently. We used free tier by default for everything and pay-as-you-go for Azure Open AI request. So basically, if you deploy it, it will only cost for your Azure Open AI calls. It's based on data that you provide, and it's very easy to customize for other use case. We use PDF as the source data in there, but you can change it to use any data sources, like for example, Microsoft Graph, to use, I don't know, CSV, YouTube videos, whatever that may be useful for your use case. Something also interesting is that it can run entirely locally. You don't even have to deploy it if you want just to experiment and test it. We're using Ollama, which is a tool that allows you to run local AI models. It will download and run an emulator for you. It can even support the OpenAI API. So we use that in our sample so that if you don't deploy it, you can run the sample locally. And it's also one of our simplest end-to-end sample with JavaScript. So it's easy to customize the code, even if you're not a JavaScript expert. And it's easy also to integrate with other platforms like Power Platform. You could use a workflow that makes call to the API if you don't want to use the UI part. So yeah, it can be repurposed in many different ways. As for the architecture, we use static web apps to host our web client in there, and it communicates through HTTP call to our serverless API, which is hosted with Azure Function. We have a few functions, one that is used to upload the PDF files. It could be reused for other kinds of documents. Once you upload a document, it will be stored in blob storage, so we can retrieve the original documents later. We will also extract the text from the PDF, send it to Azure OpenAI to create vectors from that text and store everything in Cosmos DB. We'll be also using Cosmos DB to perform our vector search. I will talk a bit more about that later. And of course, we use also Azure OpenAI to generate the answer using LLMs. So talking a bit about the technical stack, for the backend, we're using Node.js and TypeScript with the LangChain.js framework, and everything runs on Azure Function. As for LangChain, it's an open source framework that makes it easy to create complex AI workflows like this one. And it comes with a lot of components and integration. For example, loading a PDF is just one line of code. I will show you that later. So it's easy to replace it with something else. For the front end, we're using web components. So basically, you can reuse the chat component that I've shown you in basically any kind of technologies, whether it's Angular, React, Vue, whatever you're using. You can reuse the web component because it's compatible simply with anything. As we host that on static web app. So now, before diving a bit into the code sample, let's talk a bit about the problem that we are trying to solve in there. So when working with AI models, there are some challenges that we are facing. Sometimes the LLM makes mistakes when generating information, and the data that has been used to train the models may be out of date or may come from, let's say, shady or untrustworthy sources like social media. And all of that makes it difficult to tell if generated information is correct. So to solve these issues, we use the technique that's called Retrieval-Augmented-Generation, or RAG for short. And RAG is a combination of two components. First, we have a retriever that will fetch information from the knowledge base that may be relevant to the question that you're asking. And we use a generator, an LLM, to generate the answer. So this combination allows for more precise and relevant answer by using data that you provide instead of relying on the model's training data. And now, why is RAG useful? You can see that we use that in many different samples. First, it's cheap because you don't have to spend money to train expensive models, and you can use the existing one. You also maintain the knowledge base yourself separately from the AI model, so you can use even multiple data sources. And it means that you can make sure that the data will always be up to date. And it also generates factual responses using a specific context made of information that you provide instead of relying on the AI training. And you ground this answer in your context, not the model. So you can be sure that it doesn't talk, for example, if you're in a company context, that it talks about a competitor or something like that. And also because you're able to show what documents were used to generate the response, users can check it by themselves, and they can basically have more trust in the answers. So now, how does RAG works? First, in the workflow, the user asks a question, then the retriever will search for information in the knowledge base and return documents that may be relevant to answer the question. And then you send both the question and the documents to the generator that will create the response based on the information that was provided. Now, to implement that, first you have to create the knowledge base. So you start by extracting the text from the document, send it to a special AI model that's called an embedding model that will convert your text into a vector. And vectors are interesting because they allow to capture the semantic information of the text as opposed to just capturing the lexical information using the words. So if I say that differently, that means that the meaning of the text is retained regardless of the language used, which can be really useful. So next, you put together the vector along with the original text to create a document, and you store that inside the vector database. So in our case, Cosmos DB. And you repeat this process for every document that you want to include in your knowledge base. Once you have built your knowledge base, you can perform the retrieval and context augmentation process. That's done in 3 steps. So first, we transform the user query into a vector by sending it to the same embedding model that we used while creating the knowledge base. And after that, we take the vector that was generated to perform a vector search in our vector database to pick up the best matching documents. And finally, we take the text from the most relevant documents as well as the initial user question, and we use all of that to create a prompt. So it should be something along these lines, like answer the user's question using the provided documents. And then you send the prompt to the LLM to get your answer. So now let's have a quick look at the code to see how it works and how we can tweak it. So first, for the front end, I will go quickly on that part. Basically, it's all one web component that's located in the chat.ts file. I will show you that in VS Code. And for the the client part, it's calling the backend using this get completion method, and everything is basically implemented in this NPM package that we're using. That's called the Microsoft AI Chat Protocol. So we're using an API specification that's implemented in this sample, but also in other one that you can see in many other languages like Python, C# or Java. So basically, you could reuse this front end with any of our samples that's using the same AI chat protocol. And for backend, we're using Node.js and Azure Function, and we basically have 3 functions. So I will show you that directly in VS Code. And okay, you're seeing my .env file, but that's okay because something also I did not mention is basically when you're deploying this sample, you can see in there, you can try looking for any API keys. There's none because we're using keyless managed identity. So it's a keyless security mechanism that we're using in Azure for everything. So I can show you it safely, all the values that I use for deployments. And yeah, if you look at the GitHub repo, we basically having a mono repo. Everything is in a packages folder. We have the web app and the API. And in the API, it's a fairly standard Azure Function project, and we have these 3 functions in there. So the chat post is the RAG implementation to generate the chat answers. The documents post is basically how we create the knowledge base, starting from PDF. And if you look at how we load a PDF, you can see, I did not lie, it's really easy thanks to LangChain. So maybe 3 lines of code, not maybe 1. But if you want to replace it by something else, it's really easy because you just have to swap that component with any data source that you would like. So for example, Office documents, it's also supported by LangChain. And the last one is just for loading the original PDF file from blob storage. It's just a pass-through. The most interesting one is this chat post document. And to be honest, the prompt part is the most complicated thing in there. It's the thing that takes the most line of code. So if we scan a bit through the code, you can see that we initialize the clients for Azure OpenAI embeddings, Azure OpenAI chat, and the Cosmos DB NoSQL vector as a vector store. And basically the RAG process, I'm going quickly, but the RAG process is just these few lines of code, thanks to LangChain abstracting away all the complexity. So if you want to tune it the process, try to change the prompt to make it more fit to your use case. It's fairly easy to scan through the code, even if you've never done JavaScript before. And yeah, going back to the sample, I also say that it's very easy to customize it. For example, if you want to reuse like this UI chat, you can fairly quickly adapt it to your use case. For example, changing the color to match your brand, changing maybe like the rounded corners if you want it to be more square and stuff like that. So basically, it's one component. This is the AZC chat component. You see that in there, and you can reuse that in any kind of application. And yeah, if you want to run everything locally, I put the notes in there. Basically, you clone the project, you install Olyama. There's everything that you need to know in the README, and you just have to run npm start to start both the local function emulator and the web development server for the front-end part. And because you need some documents to get started. After the server is started, you run this npm run upload docs script to send a PDF. It's basically just a REST call to the local HTTP API, so it ingests everything. And I believe we're out of time, so I'm just putting in there all the links to the resources. If you want to go over the demo, see again all the code, and maybe know a bit more about RAG. So the demo is this first link in there. I can also copy paste it in the chat. And I believe we won't have time for questions. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Yohan. Questions on the chat. It's better always that way because we have so much people joining on this calls, but really, really cool. Awesome implementation. And please, everybody have a look on the sample. Yohan and the team is super open for feedback and ideas and the ways of improving what they build as well. So really, really cool stuff. Awesome. Now, thank you, Milan. Thank you, Anshul. Thank you, Yohan. Super busy call today. 3 demos is always hard on these calls. So I do apologize for the presenters. You need to bit rush always on those cases, but it was really good today. So a lot of exciting new capabilities for sure. Now, For today's call, just to recap on a few things. Next week, we currently have 2 demos scheduled. Let's see if we will have a third one, ongoing discussions with multiple teams and organizations right now, but it might be only 2, which is maybe a bit better because, again, then it's not rushing. But that's on 1st of October, and Anshul is back on the AI to 0 to 1 sample, and then Mark Window is going to talk about the latest features in SharePoint Embedded. So what has happened within the past month on the SharePoint Embedded. A lot of cool stuff on that side as well. Now, in the meanwhile, please join on the other community calls, and then if you're in Discord, you can definitely join our Discord server. We have more than 2,240 members already over there, helping each other within the questions, and it is semi-active, so it's nice to see that people are learning and using new options as well for communicating across the other people within the community. Now, we're always looking also feedback around these calls, so please, if you have a few minutes, fill in the form, and that's super valuable for us to be able to continue having these calls in the future as well. But that's quick recapping all of the typical assets. The recording will be available in our Microsoft 365 community, Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel within 24 hours. We'll do a bit of a post editing here and there, adjusting breaks and all of that, and then we're going to release that in the YouTube channel. Follow us on LinkedIn or in Twitter or in X to get notified whenever that call is available, so you can catch up the things in detail. Next call, October 1st, and that it is for today. So thank you once again for all of the presenters. Thank you for all of the attendees. Really, really cool to have you as part of this community. And we'll be back within next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.